Well, you know, I was just thinking about the new promo, and well, I say it's a promo. It's not really a promo of this Big Shot thing that they're doing the collab with, of course, the company Big Shots, who make what is Brawling Buddies. If you're unaware, from like the 90s, 2000, 2000s, even 2010s to an extent, they basically did plushies for wrestlers, and now we have more of them, of course, with their newest collection. Of course, Bianca, Rhea, Liv, Penta, Dominic, and Seth. And I'm disappointed, and it's I don't understand how I mean, I said in my first video of season 12, actually ironically the only video of season 12 that I've done, because it's just not been that much to talk about. I mean, I could go on and on about, the Penta stuff. I will be talking about the Penta stuff in this video as well, but that they advertised this Big Shots thing as special. It's not that special. It in and I think, I mean, I'm always against companies promoting stuff that is special. It's not special. I mean, I've pulled, I think it was Penta. Yeah, Penta. So here's Penta. So 65,000, 58, 73, 71. But you compare it to like a Tez and 73, 67 there. I mean, they are better, but not that much better. And that's honestly quite upsetting. Like if you look at Jade's stats, her starting stats, wherever she is, she's definitely a prize card. Good, still might show up. Oh, it might be, yeah, I'm filtered to males, that's why. But even this is Bailey, 75, 72, 63, 59. These are much different. And I mean, this would be an approximation of a special card stat from their starting form, and I couldn't actually filter it into showing the lack of. They're not special. If I reduce it down here, we've got all matches played, all games played and stuff. 88, 76, 76, 79, 10k to proc in Pan Charisma. And you have this Penta card, wherever he may be. I think I got rid of him. Yeah, I did. I got rid of him. But you have this Penta who is not that good, and I don't want Supercard to do what Season 11 did, and that's underwhelm. And the promos that they've done, the season on launch was not great. The crashing issues, and there still is crashing issues. Cat Daddy, please fix. I cannot apparently delete more than 2 cards without the game crashing, and especially with the Legacy Nikki Bells and stuff. It's just I'm getting rid of them because they are doing nothing XP wise, and they do nothing for me. And I find it difficult to play a game in which can well not so much play it, but create content on it when it's the same content as they did last season, except worse now, because I felt I did last season and I felt burnt out from last season. I hated last season. I couldn't. It's like what I said in my season 11 review. I rated it a 4 out of 10, because I the middle of that season was the best bit of that season. And I know this season just launched, and it may get better, and LTs are gonna throw out, but it's rehash. This is rehash. Let's look at the question. Still very season 11 reset draft board. It was 20 or 30 times. I'm not claiming it because it's a some 25 card. Don't need them. play, I think it was 50 leagues matches. That sounds familiar. It's either that or it's play event. Open card packs. Acquire a card of ignition rarity or high, which we had in season 11, but different cards. I think it was like WrestleMania 31 or Unhinged at the time, especially when it was Eon. 20 super moves. That's not changed. And same with this Big Shots quest, play event. 50. Which I know is easy. 30 games of Boom. I've not even touched Boom because I'm burnt out of Boom because I'm relying on it again. Acquire a card of ignition rarity or higher again. 20 super moves. Reset a trap board 13 times. And for a prize card, that's not even that good. For anyone who's adventure tier, you can skip this quest. You can skip it. If you're better off getting, adventure left arrows to do it. Like, I don't think I have any adventure left arrows, do I? Nope, because the game gave me a lot of right arrows. But, like, if I go into the female department especially, Julia's a left arrow. And, nope, sorry, it's a right arrow. Just Julia. Yep, just Julia. Julia is the only left arrow, as well as Rhea Ripley, actually, in the tier. You could get either of them, and you don't need Liv Morgan. Should be worse. And, I mean, in speed? No. But, charisma, you have Julia. Rhea Ripley benefits from WrestleMania Teacher. I know it's very outdated now, but if it comes out again, and she's at WrestleMania and stuff, sound. And that would be probably in April. Because I'd be very shocked if they don't include it, because they made so much money off it. And this is where I talk about the disappointment, because these cards aren't special. You can forge them. You can forge Liv Morgan. You can forge Bianca. You can forge Penta. You can forge Dom. You can forge all of them. I don't understand why Supercard are doing this. And it's like with the Liv Morgan quest. 30 games of Boom. How about 30 rounds of Super Showdown? Why not? Gets people playing the mode. It's new. Boom's not new no more. Boom was last year. That's when that was new. Last year. Like, if it said Super Showdown round wins or complete Super Showdown runs, saying that though, that's very exploitative because, people can go to round 1 and the run instantly. That can happen. So why couldn't it be like win, let's say, 50 rounds of Super Showdown, which is about, 7-8 runs, maybe more, depending on, your skill or luck basis. And I find it very disappointing because, I'm comparing it to like the first week in 12. It was actually not bad content wise. Tag Team Takedown. You had Drew McIntyre. You had Nikki Bella. Drew McIntyre being a draft board event. Nikki Bella, of course. I did get one Nikki Bella in the end. I focused on the adventure cards, but Nikki Bella being in Tag Team Takedown, crack the case, but no one cares about crack the case. Crack the case is dead. But, the fact you could say, like the fact they're putting on when games of Boom instead of Super Showdown, that sort of suggests they didn't want it. They didn't want to add it. Boom is still that old reliant, and is it because they don't make money off Super Showdown? Because they can't? I mean, they can. They very much can, you got these Lord Showdown token packs for 7 tokens, 1,500. People are going to buy that anyway. People have bought them. I'm not going to go against, okay, I'm winning. Like, I'm not going to say that, Season 12 is bad. But if this continues, it's just going to be Season 11.5. And I don't want it to be Season 11.5. Like, this Penta. Right, imagine this. Last event of Season 11. Bunches of punches. and build a pack. They released for Nikki Bella, an Ignition card by the way, Bounty Breaker. Why? You know, 2 ways to win was inevitable, and you got your Haku, Lyra, Ricky Saints if you want him, and then Bunches of Punches comes back. And the only thing to get a good thing out of is Penta, both 3. Free to play's in the bin. 3 to play's been put down so far down, and I know people are going to be like, oh, well, you're crying about it, it's just starting. But this is why we accept mediocrity now, and I think as a player base, just in general, really, I think, we need to start speaking out loud about, but these issues, and, kickouts inevitable. They make tons of money. What they've done is they did this, sort of 2 seasons ago, 3 seasons ago to an extent. They put money over gameplay, and business-wise, fine. But they're adding gambling. Like, if it's anything, Crack the Case is basically just luck. I can do my Crack the Case attempt now. I'm gonna do 9412. Okay, so 4's in the right place, 2's in the wrong. The others aren't included, so I'll include a 6. Yeah, I can include a 6. I'll do 2 6s. Okay, now it's the last 2 numbers, which bear in mind can be duplicates. Could be a 3 and an 8. Okay, and now I've basically got a big chance here, a chance that I'm going to lose quite easily. And even looking at the rewards progression of this, top prize Ignition. That's funny. I'm sorry, that's just too funny. But let me try 0. It's wrong. Shock. Alright, if I want to buy another attempt at this, 275. Like, even Giants being a prize card I found a bit questionable. But, I mean, I know people praised Cat Daddy for doing that prize card. I understand why, but also you have had, when they started, 2 weeks, 2nd week, to get into Adventure Tier. You got Campaign. It's giving out more XP than ever. Except for, people, like, even the amount of Romans that have been gained in the last 2 weeks is very high. And, 3,000 Romans in 2 weeks is actually quite high. For 2 weeks. I would say it's high anyway. It's not like people should be struggling to get into Adventure Tier. At all. I disagree with the art of, oh, well, we're struggling to get into Adventure Tier, so we're going to give you prize cards. Okay, it was a flash event, which is, it's fine. But again, it should have been a poll, whether it wanted to be prize or adventure. And, I think Cat Daddy don't research into a player base. They said about ring domination, like your least favourite events, ring domination, war games won by a mile. First event we get, ring domination. Would have been a war games as well. The Cat Daddy, please make new modes. Please just make new events. Put new stuff in the rotation. Make teams good. Because stuff like this is not going to entice your player base to keep playing after a while. Like, assuming they release a new tier in around, like, mid-December, you're then trying to force your player base out. And I find that not the best idea. You're going to force them out. You're going to burn them out. Burnout was a concern last season. Now it's a big concern this season because they seemingly are doing the same and they're not researching. They can't research save their life because they only have one community manager. I understand small company, small area. People probably don't want to do what they want to do. Business heads, and all this stuff, and the boss is saying you have to do this, and this, and ring domination, war games. Yes, it makes us hate Playbase hates us, but they want to spend to do it quicker, and that is their logic, and that logic is annoying because they don't consider the people who don't care about the game. Well, not that they don't care about the game, because if you play a game, you invest in time in the game. If you're not, then they don't care. But I find what they're doing with this season at the minute is concerning already. I don't mean to. I know it sounds like a rant video. I know people are saying that oh, they really enjoyed this week. Mainly, probably because they patched a lot of things. The league's issue. With it constantly counting, that did get fixed. And I think criticism should be as loud as praise. In that they can fix things. They haven't fixed everything, but they fixed things, and they fixed big issues that everyone was complaining about because it wasn't unplayable, but it wasn't fun to play. But now, I think the concerns have to be in line with the sort of the events, quests, variation. Variation's my biggest issue. They're saying win 30 boom games in season 12. Super Showdowns just came out. Why not promote that? I mean, again, if I had the option to work there, I would have suggested we need to promote our new thing. Super Showdown was a big thing this season at launch. And the fact that I think Super Showdowns are again neglected is a concern. People are going to play it anyway, but why force a player base to just have to play Boom when it's basically routine anyway to play Boom? Is it because they have Boom? Is it, I can't suggest the reasons why they've done this. I won't attempt to, and I just find it super concerning that CatDaddy aren't necessarily. It's not that they're not listening to the player base, because they have listened, the issues and everything, but they've only done that is just so people stop complaining. But then the rest gets faded away. They only get concerned if the gameplay experience is a problem. They don't if they don't need to add a new event, they won't. And this was a big issue, especially coming from season 11 to season 12, especially with the concern of LTEs. I know we've had none. We're gonna probably get one in December, but I just find it very difficult to stick with. Any players who are dropping out a bit early, or maybe just about coming back. I mean, I understand why you're coming back. New season, tiers, content, stuff to get through campaign. But they're forcing the player base's throats again with Boom, and we already recognise Boom's a mode you can get big rewards for as long as you play it, and I don't think CatDaddy recognise that, and I mean, I think it's very difficult in order to suggest a player base. Okay, you have to play in order to stay in line, stay on track. You need to play your Boom games. You have to get your 12 streaks every day. I mean, you don't have to, but I mean, this comes from someone who's literally skipped Boom for 4 days straight. But I think them saying about, oh, well, you should play Boom. It's not that you should play Boom. I mean, you don't have to play Boom, but promote campaign. And, yep, that's game. They could promote so many other modes, and they're choosing Boom as the golden child. I could get into the business models and, the Boston Matrix and everything, and Boom's obviously a big golden child. It is a star. Campaign to an extent a star. It's making money, implicit money, but it's making money. And I find it difficult for players to not necessarily play the game, but to stick with the game. Playing the game's fine. Sticking with it's a problem. And I think that needs to be addressed. From Cat Daddy to us, for us to tell them what they need to do and push, and that is my issue with the state. And I mean, I know they just done Penta draft board event, and we're gonna now talk about Penta and draft board events. Well, should I say the exclusive draft board events, not the normal draft board. This is the way you gotta get 6,500 dust, and you may get him. They should still be if you do so many rare draft picks, I think you should get guaranteed. I humbly believe that. If you've done let's say about 50 rare draft picks, you should probably be guaranteed a Penta. Whatever that, whatever the mechanism is for them to promote play, because the drop rates are poor for Penta. Of course, you do have the question getting free, but getting the pro, it's either you get them from round to draft board, you pay, or you do bunches of punches, and then you probably end up paying. I mean, unless you get lucky in bonus packs, but it's bonus packs. I don't like I like the bonus packs, and I praised them in season 11. I could praise them now, but I just find it harsh to lock things behind bunches of punches. No skill based, packs. They want to try and emphasize. Well, the game's a hobby. They promoted it last season, 2 seasons ago. The game's a hobby. Is it? You make it's it's not that it's becoming a hobby, it's becoming a chore. And just to stay in line, and I know they might have special editions that they could release. I mean, Christmas gonna release a load. Probably Save Santa as well. Save Santa 3. I don't think the player base should actually, oh Jesus. I don't think that the player base should necessarily, want to play not feel forced to play the game, but it's becoming harder and harder to play in the sense of getting bored. I'm spending a lot less time on this game than I did last season, 2 seasons ago. I spent less time on the game last season compared to season 10, and it's happening the same now. And kind of need to do something about it. And variation. I mean, I know I'm one player, no one cares about me. I'm a nope. In the sense of Cat Daddy's Band, I'm a nobody. I'm not a big player. They're catering to the content creators that are big, and I allude the term big because they're the ones who have influence. My videos don't. For example, I'm a very small content creator. I know that. I ain't gonna push forward anything with this. I am very aware, but I think content creators should talk about more player base instead of just focus on themselves, because that's when it becomes selfish and that's when it becomes a problem. Of course, people are gonna feed them money with the FOMO side of things, the fear of missing out, and that's inevitable, and I understand that is going to happen. They are still going to make money, we like it or hate it, from the use of microtransactions, bunches of punches. FOMO exists, and we could provide several evidences of FOMO existing in many of games. But I just find it difficult to, defend the idea of FOMO when when the company who is developing the game, of course, probably being pressured by publishers, 2K heads at Cat Daddy or whatever. I mean, because I would like to think anyway that they get the people at heart and everything like that, but I think they need to start cracking down on research. And I find researching games to be a very big thing. So like look at games that, required, lots of fix and stuff, and I mean this season was one of them. This season now is a lot more playable, but it's still boring. And this is my general issue, and really the whole of the ramble, really, where, well, or rant, I know it's going to probably get considered a rant, probably is a rant, but Cat Daddy should be held accountable for lack of research into the play base. They have a Discord channel. We don't get polls. We only get told, how did you enjoy the week? Did you, I won't vote because I'll be like, well, this week wasn't the best. It wasn't the most fun to play. But then again, I'm also barely playing. So can I really have fun? It's like Super Showdown. I mean, granted, I know, with the ideas of the quests and, everything of that accord, people will say, well, the game's going to be played, Penta's going to be the same, campaign's going to be a thing, people want to complete campaign. Everyone wants to do campaign. Well, I say everyone, people don't because of the idea of pay to win, which is also a bit of a concern, especially with the equipment. But if they want to make a successful season, and as part of my wish list was rotation, and the rotation is still the same as it was the previous season, and to an extent the season before that, the rotation wasn't the best. I mean, the first ranked event that we're going to get is most likely going to be a PCC. And I just find PCC to be very boring. I'm not trying to be biased, but I loved Clash. I think it should come back because the play base are complaining about PCC being boring, and they said they hated Clash, so they gave us PCC. And now we hate PCC and we want Clash. And I think this is where the research gets difficult, and especially with where we in a time where communication I find to be easier than ever in terms of research, development of games. Of course, it's up to the individual company to deal with that research or to delay a season. Or, I mean, I know people are going to complain about the season being trash. That was inevitable. People, you ain't going to please everyone. That's impossible. If you wanted to please everyone, then you'd probably you'll make what I call the perfect game. And the perfect game doesn't exist. Especially in Supercard anyway. Supercard's a very difficult game to make perfect, and you never will make it perfect. But I just find it very difficult to play the game, stick with the game, go from there. So, yeah, no, that's just my thoughts. Do tell me what you think. I know, unfortunately, this will never get passed on to Cat Daddy because I'm not influential enough. I'm not, statistically big enough to do anything that is, worthy of credit in terms of for Cat Daddy, because I'm not affiliated with them, never will be affiliated with them. If I got offered to be affiliated with them, I would decline. And I think people getting the idea that Super Showdown doesn't exist because of lack of quest, quest prowess. It's a reward, tokens and everything like that. I mean, token gives are actually a lot more nice, but I think playing Boom shouldn't be a way to burn your play base out. I think I like Boom as a game mode, but it's forced down our throats in the sense that we don't want to play it, and I find that very difficult. I wish the content creators in front of me and the bigger content creators spoke on this, but they won't because of fear of their, I understand the fear with, like, as soon as content creators stop benefiting the game's popularity, which, the brand behind the game is big anyway, is big enough anyway. You don't even need to be concerned about the player base, and influencers and everything like that. The game's big enough, but the game's definitely had a drastic change in the way they're performing the game, making the game, and the quality I find has gone down in the game, and it's unfortunate. But yeah, that's where I'm gonna leave it off. I could ramble for probably a few hours on this, and I mean, but I just hope for the rest of this season that there's going to be more, variety and not so much, you know, um, like obedience. I mean, we have to, you know, we have to play the game anyway to test, and the lack of QA testing from the game from the studio very obvious. But yeah, that's where I'm gonna leave it off. And this one in videos I hope gets pushed out to people, especially the big content creators. Probably won't, but I hope it does. And if anyone's surprisingly watching AtCat Ready, please take this on board. I'm not trying to say the game's bad. It's just becoming boring, and you need to do some variety. Otherwise, people are just gonna leave because it's the same stuff over and over again. Your game isn't, your game isn't replayable enough for people to care enough about the game in terms of content. They're just gonna get the content and leave. But it's been King My Supercard, and goodbye.